see, he's a young man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know that saying to a woman, I'm not going to argue with you. It's within itself a triggering phrase that's going to cause an argument. Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Buffet Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Brandon, and
Ciandra, which is
beautiful Ciandra. And once again, I am not on my game right now.
I was like, what's this? I thought you were going to say what?
I switch things up.
I thought you were going to say brought to you by We Up Counseling and Consulting. That's what I thought you were going to say.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
But brought to you by We Up Counseling.
Yeah.
Consulting.
You sponsor me.
We Up Counseling and Consulting, providing mental health services to the culture since 2022-ish.
Yeah.
Texas and DC for now. We're expanding. We're going to expand.
That's my favorite sound. I want people to play that at my funeral. I know this is unrelated, but send me out the right way.
With the bullhorn sound?
Yeah.
It's lit sound?
Yes.
So you want
a real one died.
So that's a good point. You want your funeral to be a celebration?
Oh yeah.
Turn up. Can we put you in like a pose?
Now you've gone too far. Okay. Because I wouldn't be cremated. Just have my ashes in the place where y'all turning up.
No body, no zombie.
I'm not concerned with being a zombie, but yes,
I am.
I want. You know how I shall.
Yeah,
I want
can
the
we get him?
bullhorn.
Can we get him?
No, I want the bullhorn to be my sound. That's somebody walking me down the aisle.
On the low, I kind of want him on my. I kind of want him.
He probably will pass before
wear
you pass.
A crown one day. Y'all need to look that video up. That joint is hilarious. That joint is hilarious. You look like Chico Bean on the low, but yeah,
he does.
All right, so episode 103. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe. And I say hit that bell button so you can get notified when new episodes drop. You know, it drops weekly.
I was trying to make a bell.
Oh,
you know
okay.
how like on the Disney Channel they used to have like
they used to do the.
I was trying to do the bell with her.
I feel like everybody. Well, not everybody. Most people know if you got cable, but not everybody did.
If you broke, just say.
Wow, no, actually, it's not them. It's their parents.
That's true.
Yeah, hit that like and subscribe, all that good stuff, because we're trying to get the algorithm working in our favor, so we can get these likes. I mean, not likes, these subscribers up. Now I'm saying we
talk to more people.
We just hit that 90 mark. Now I'm saying, as y'all know, we're trying to get to that first hundo. Hopefully by the end of the month. I mean, I feel like it's very, very possible. I feel like we get a couple every couple days or something like that right now, but we're trying to get these numbers to go up. All right. So before we move over, once again, we got a couple church announcements. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost, we have to welcome a new addition to the squad, to the family. Now I'm saying one of my player partners, Rob, and his wife, Pauline, just welcomed the new baby boy.
Yay. Shout out
to
we,
you know what I'm saying? So we literally, I mean, it's only one now, but maybe eventually it'd be multiple. I don't know what y'all plans are, but congratulations to you, to y'all newest addition to the family, making the family.
Yeah, growing the family.
Yes, indeed.
True legend was born.
That's true. That's real facts. That's real facts. Maybe one day he'll be able to listen or see this. And I'm saying big ups. Big ups
yourself.
All right. Now that we did that, are we gonna go into it as soon as my
Brandon has the power, and you see what happens.
I do with it. Now I'm playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're gonna go right into the first clip, and this clip is from a couple. By way of Ciandra, because she follows. What is it? It's like Tab and Chance, Tabitha Brown. I feel like a lot of y'all might know about Tabitha Brown. If you haven't, you've probably seen her stuff in Target. You know, Tabitha Brown, her and her husband, they was talking about some stuff. So we're going to go ahead and play it without further ado.
You know, in our relationship, a lot of our arguments came from something that was said that was never said.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it could be like, no, I don't want to go to your grandma's house. I heard you don't like my family. You know what I'm saying?
That was a good one.
You know what I'm saying? So, versus him saying, or even with us after Hope's wedding. We came back from a wedding before we were married. After he had convinced me that getting married was not necessary. I was on this for a year, like, okay, I'm good. We ain't got to get married. We left this wedding, and he was like, in the car, like, that was nice. Like, you want to get married? I was like, no, I don't want to get married. He heard, you don't want to marry me? And all I was saying was, no, I have come to the agreement with you that we don't have to do that. But it's because we hadn't did some work.
Mm-hmm.
What are your first initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are the quality of the communication in your relationship has to do as much with what the other person is saying as it has to do with your ability to actually listen to what they're saying with ears that are clean. Like, clean in the sense of you're not trying to do any mind reading. You know what I'm saying? I think that, like, what happens when I say one thing but you hear something else is there's a filter. There's a way that you interpret that statement. There is a lens through which you already look at me saying a statement like that, or a feeling that you have because, like, oh, I heard her say this before. This X plus Y gotta equal Z. So that's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you say
Y
that?
equals MX plus B.
Yeah, like, why would you say that? Like, the truth of how I feel. Like, what are you saying? Why would I say that? So I think that that's the first thing that comes to mind for me. It's just like the quality of communication in your relationship is both what is being said, right? Like, if I'm going to hold you accountable for what you're saying and how what you're saying is having an impact on me, I also have to hold myself accountable for my ears and my ability to actually listen to what it is that you're saying without putting any special sauce on it. That's hard. Sometimes
I was just thinking. I was like, yeah, that sounds phenomenal on paper, and also acted out as well. But it is not an easy thing to do, because that's like one of those at this point built in, like I said, filters that it's very hard to dismantle that, because it happens before you realize it's happening.
I agree with you. It's a short circuit in our brain to, like, our brain wants to take the easiest path and looks for patterns. And in those patterns, it's like, okay, well, if they're saying that, what they really mean is this. So I agree with you. I'm not saying this as a preacher on the high horse, like, oh my gosh, this is so easy to do, and if you ain't done it yet, it's something wrong with you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in this space, especially as it relates to arguments, like, it takes two to argue. My mom told me the other day that my brother told her, I'm not going to argue with you. And she was like,
that right. I see. He's a young man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't know that saying to a woman, I'm not going to argue with you, it's within itself a triggering phrase that's going to cause an argument. But
that's what I mean by that is like, you have a choice about how you engage and argue.
I'm not going to argue with you. I love it.
And an argument takes two people. It takes both of us to have this conversation. And, like, the way that an argument gets de-escalated, or I was going to say de-promoted, but the difference between a discussion being promoted to an argument and an argument being de-escalated to a discussion is the quality of the listening that's happening.
Escalated or de-escalated. I think
there we go. Escalated or de-escalated is based off of the quality of the listening that's happening.
Yes.
And the quality of the questions that are being asked. So, like, there are things now that we could argue. No. Here is what I'm trying to say. There are things earlier in our relationship that would have caused greater rifts between us. Because I don't think that we necessarily argue in the way that I envision arguing, which includes, like, yelling and screaming and, like, escalated things. I don't think that we've ever had a conversation that has gone to that point, but we have had conversations where we have had like significant disagreements and needed to take a break in order to be able to like actually communicate with each other.
Right.
We're at a place now where those same things don't lead to that level of escalation. And a part of that is, one, like a change in the pattern of that conversation. So before it gets to a point where either party is too frustrated, it's like, this is what I'm hearing. Like, this is what I heard you say. What do you mean? Because what I'm hearing you say is what's pissing me off. Yeah. But maybe you don't mean it that way. Like, maybe I'm not looking at it through the same lens that you're looking at it through. And I can't, because I'm not you.
That's real.
Like, as much as I know you and love you, I'm not in your brain. So that's why I said earlier that like a part of the problem with what they were sharing is like this idea that you can read somebody else's mind.
Yeah, I think that's I don't know how or I say all that to say, or I tried to say all that to say that it is a pretty common thought pattern that people have when it comes to their partners. It's just like, I think the thought process is, you've known me so long. We've had discussions like this before. Like, you should know. You should know by now that I shouldn't have to tell you, or I shouldn't have to do the X, Y, and Z anymore, because by now it should be ingrained in you as if it's second nature. Like, what we got going on, how I'm moving, it should already have overwritten whatever your past like initial behaviors have been, because now I'm here. Which not when I say it like that, it makes a person sound arrogant as shit in order to have that assumption. And also that expectation. And I think we've also gotten good at asking about that. So sometimes if I'm trying to explain myself and I notice it's like, it feels like there is maybe a disconnect, I try to ask, like, am I making sense? Like, what are you picking up from what, like, are you hearing it as I'm trying to convey it? If not, what are you picking up from what I'm saying? Like, give me a summary of what I just told you, what I just told you. So just to make sure that you are picking up my message as I'm intending to deliver it. Because sometimes you need to be like, oh no, that's not what I'm trying to say at all. I'm trying to say, and then you may need to go about re-explaining or clarifying in a different manner in order to get your message across. And that happens. That is going to happen, and it should happen. As you go about your, through your relationship, because there's going to be a lot of disagreements and things of that nature. It's just common. Yeah. And then, and hearing her speak about, you say one thing, but I heard another. That's so real. Because, and you talk about the filters. When you said the filters, like, yep, my filter is like defense. Like, I hear everything as if like blame. I hear blame. You bring something to me, it's like, you don't like you. It's a deficiency with you. It's something that you need to fix, something that you need to do better. That's what I hear a lot of times. And most times that is like my default filter, I guess, if you're going to keep up with that analogy. I've definitely gotten better with it, but it's still my default. I've just gotten really good at being able to recognize it and then kind of like reframing. It's like, nah, she's not blaming me for anything. What is she really trying to get at your feelings? But like, I would say at this point, it's damn near, it's almost impossible to change that initial like instinctual reaction. But what you can do is improve the lag time of having that initial reaction and then compensating for it and be like, no, this is, this is the patch, I guess, if you're going to use technical terminology.
Patch?
Yeah, like when there's like a program and then they here's the version 1 of this program, then they drop off 1.2. It's like it's a patch and improvements. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you said, babe. And I definitely think are different expectations for everyone as it relates to arguments, how frequently they're going to happen, if they're going to happen at all, the intensity of the argument, all of that. I think we walk into relationships with an expectation based off of what we've seen, or even a desire maybe to change what we've seen in other relationships that we've been able to be close to and have an eyewitness, kind of vantage point of. And I would say for me, having seen people have arguments that I feel like are very escalated, I'm always been like,
I'm super sensitive to that.
Not now, not never. Be yelling at you.
That's
or
one
let
thing.
You yell at me.
I don't like that shit. I don't like that shit at all. That's one thing I knew that off rip. I done seen couples yelling at each other and things like that. It's like it didn't look good from on the outside of it. I definitely didn't want to be on the inside of that shit. I was like, nah, that's something I'm always been hyper. So it looks like if you're a type of person who like get elevated when you're trying to have a conversation, I'm not with it. Our automatically kind of deprioritize you and like, we can never be as close as we could possibly be if this is how you communicate. Another point, if I may,
go ahead,
is talking about why do we have that expectation about people being able to read their mind? And when you said that the brain is lazy, which is very true, it looks for patterns even when there are none, and it also constantly looks for shortcuts because it's kind of on a survivor tip. Like we ain't got time to like think this shit all the way out. We need some quick hotkeys. Boom, boom, boom. This means this. Run, stay, fight. What you need to do. And I think the same is true for the person speaking. You know what I'm saying? I think I expect you to read my mind is like a subconscious, like a shortcut, like that you want to have it in place. Like I don't want to have to explain this to you every time. So I need this to be quicker. I need this to move faster. I don't want to have to keep reiterating this thing to you over and over and over. So I think maybe subconsciously, I don't know, we start expecting that like that shortcut is going to exist for someone who is around you at all times. Like when you grow up in your household, at a certain point, you know how the house moves. You know what's expected of you. You know that, you got to take the trash out at this time on this day. And you just learn because you become part of that inner house like culture. And I think we kind of expect that to be with all of our relationships outside of it through rest of time. Anybody that we deem to be, close to us, and to the point where it's just like, you should just know how you need to operate when you're around me all the time, which is a kind of a logical fallacy. On another point, because I'm thinking about all the reasons why we think or believe that our partner should read our minds at times. And then being frustrated when you have to communicate, like you actually have to speak and tell me how you feel and things like that. I think a lot of times, especially when people who get very elevated, they don't have the language.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, they don't have the language, and they don't like a lot of people do not know their emotions. They know anger, they know fear, and they know like happiness. Maybe frustration. But like they don't know all of the they can't name their emotions when they're feeling it. It's very confusing. And when it's confusing, it's easier to go towards anger.
Yeah, it's a shortcut.
It's a shortcut. So yeah, it's
an easy expression. It's something I know how to do. I know what kind of reaction or response I'm going to get when I'm angry. I'm going to choose, or I'm going to explore whatever it is I'm feeling through anger because that's what feels most comfortable and familiar to me.
Okay, excuse me. Let me reiterate. It goes confusion, fear, anger. We don't like to feel fear. Anger is more anger feels like something we can control. Anger feels like it's an action. It feels more actionable. Fear is like very push you in a kind of powerless position. No one likes to feel powerless, but if you turn that to anger, it's kind of Jedi-ish in a sense, like uncertainty leading to fear, which leads to anger, which leads to the dark side. In this case, the dark side is some maladaptive behavior that could be a detriment to you and your relationship. And that has been your 2-minute dose of psych, I guess. I'm going to call that, sure.
Okay, therapy corner.
Yeah, therapy corner. That might become a real thing. How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay.
Okay, that's what's up.
I think we're ready to get to this listener letter.
Yeah, we got a.
Well, it's more of a question.
Yeah, it's more of a it's a question sent to us through our DM.
Are the person anonymous, or did they say?
They didn't say one way or the other, so I'm just
anonymous.
Is that what we're doing?
I feel like to protect their privacy.
Okay, I guess. Okay, we can definitely do it like that.
Someone on Instagram, shout out to you. You know who you are.
So on Instagram, I guess they saw our clip that went crazy about when I was explaining the thought process that goes into when to, talk to a woman about things. Well, he hit us up. He asked the question, and I'm pretty sure it was aimed to you. And it goes as such: "Hey, I have a question for you as a woman." I think he meant to say, "I have a question," and then the question is, as a woman, meaning you, can a woman be satisfied 100% with a guy, even though he may not have a few things she prefers?
Yes. One, let me say why it's a yes. One, you use the word prefer. And so I think preferences are tricky because preferences aren't need to haves. Like, they aren't necessarily things that need to be a part of your potential partner in order for you to have a successful relationship with them. So yes, someone cannot meet all of your preferences and you can be satisfied with them. And then I guess the other part of it is, what are we classifying as 100% satisfied? Because I don't think anyone is 100% satisfied in their relationship 100% of the time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think as you go through seasons in your relationship, as you change and your partner changes and you're not necessarily on the exact same path at the same time, there is going to be times where you're going to be dissatisfied in your relationship, maybe with one element, not the whole thing. Because once you get to the whole thing, then you'd be a little bit like, all right, I got a jet, got a blast. But there are going to be times where you're not 100% satisfied with your relationship. And I think having that set as an expectation for yourself, especially going into a long-term relationship, one where you plan to be with someone through multiple seasons of their life, as they grow and change, will help you, right? Because that preference, that thing that you like, would have been really helpful in year 1, 3, but in year 10, that preference is not doing anything for you in the same way that it would have earlier on. And so that's why I think that you can be satisfied and continue to be satisfied as long as the person meets your non-negotiables. Now, that if you aren't meeting my non-negotiables, then I don't think that you could be 100% satisfied, because I'm always going to feel that there is a lack there.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. So I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said that preferences do change through time. Did you mention that? Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't reiterate that.
And one last point I'll say is, you choose who you love. So
that's true.
Your satisfaction is directly tied to your ability to make that choice and stand firm in that choice. This other person, yes, contributes to that happiness, can make it more easy or more difficult for you to love them. But if you choose to love them and if you choose to be in a long-term relationship with them, you have a lot more control and influence over your satisfaction than you maybe think you do. Because what you're choosing to see, like if you're choosing to see the positive versus choosing to see the negative, if you are living in a space of gratitude, if you can actually be grateful for the positive, even if some negative exists, all of those things will contribute to your satisfaction. How much you're pouring into yourself to make sure you're still good, all of that is pouring into your satisfaction in a way that you can control, even if this other person isn't, like I said, you aren't 100% satisfied with them, but you can control your levels of satisfaction if you control your mindset.
Mindset. Chef, niggas ain't trying to hit that. But yeah, you're 100% correct. My piece to it is,
as a woman.
Well, I know, but I'm going to add as a man, from the outside in, I believe that women have the ability to be satisfied even though they don't meet 100% of their preferences. The only issue I would say to that is, they can be satisfied if they don't meet 100% of their preferences, only if they have the ability to actually differentiate a non-negotiable from a preference. Some women, a good amount of women, will say all their non-negotiables are preferences, or all their preferences are non-negotiables. And, a lot of people don't have a lot. Everything they want in a man is a non-negotiable, as opposed to like, these are the things I need to have, and then these things are a bonus. But I'm not going to turn your application away if you apply without it. If they are able to make that distinction, I think they can be, for sure.
Agreed.
Let me see, make sure there's anything else on here. No, I think we're good. Hope she answered your question adequately. I think she did. If not, feel free to write us back in, Mr. Anonymous, that because you didn't tell us one way or another. I think at this point, people need to tell us to keep you anonymous. Otherwise, I'm just gonna say your name. Like,
that's fine.
You gotta tell us to keep your name anonymous. Otherwise, we're gonna presume that you're okay with me shouting out y'all name.
That's it.
Yeah. All right. So I think we feel like we should end.
I'm okay. I don't know if we're time wise if we're okay, but.
I mean, we're fine. It's gonna be a short one. You know what I'm saying? Keep it short and sweet. I know a lot of y'all people, y'all busy. Y'all doing these things around,
and
chores,
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend. We don't want to give y'all too much.
We outside.
Yeah, this is to let y'all know. You know what I'm saying? We still thinking about y'all. You know what I'm saying? Give y'all a little something.
Yeah, a little sploosh.
Splish splash sploosh.
Good.
All right, y'all. Well, I appreciate y'all tuning in to another episode of the Buffet podcast with your hosts Brandon and Ciandra. Once again, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, please. And thank you. We're on that road to 100, and also happy Labor Day, I guess. For sure.
We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. Peace and Pan-Africanism, y'all.
Okay, Omar.